Ever since Northwood released their remake of 173 into the Patreon build for the beta, the community has been going wild. Many people are for it, and many still don't quite like it. And from what I've seen, a lot of people in both camps don't even know why Peanut had to be changed in the first place. And when they do know why, they have wildly incorrect ideas as to the truth of all of it. From Northwood just wanting to change it for no reason, to them being threatened with legal action personally. Both, by the way, are completely false. I sought out to get to the bottom of all of this, hunting down every piece of info I could find about the subject and even DMing the creator of Secret Lab directly to ask him about it. So, why exactly did Northwood change SCP-173 in Secret Lab? Let's talk about it. Before we get too deep into it, I want to give a brief explanation behind this whole thing. SCP-173 was the first SCP ever written and created. It first appeared in 2008 on 4chan's X board, a board for paranormal ghost stories on 4chan, a family-friendly website with many different boards similar to Reddit's subreddit system. The anonymous 4chan poster, who later went by the name Moto42, used a photo he had found online from Japanese artist Izumi Kato. The photo is titled Untitled 2004, and during the years after this original 4chan post and the skyrocketing popularity of SCP, many online started to discuss the legality of making money off of the likeness of Untitled 2004. And to sum up the whole legal jungle of copyright, basically, you're allowed to make money from movies, video games, books, etc. off of the story of SCP-173, but you can't do the same with the statue in the photo Untitled 2004 without Mr. Kato's permission. See, something like SCP Containment Breach doesn't currently have any way to pay for it. It's an abandoned game that makes no income for the developer, who's since moved on to other projects. And while Northwood has been delicately navigating the subject of what it means to make money off of your work with things like being paid via Patreon and not Steam sales, if Hubert and co wanted to make a living with this game or even continue making money via their Patreon, it was apparent that they needed to make changes sooner rather than later. But why change it now? Well, this update is the biggest update they've introduced in the game's history, with an overhaul to guns, inventory, frame rate improvements, lighting, textures, and so much more. People still playing the game are in love with it, and those who quit are seeing this as the perfect time to jump back in. Conversely, Northwood saw this as the perfect time to introduce the 173 changes. The truth is, no matter what Northwood did with 173, people would be angry at it for one reason or another, and so they decided to package it in with the gun update. Like getting a sick BTS meal at McDonald's after a doctor's appointment, you make the inevitable tolerable. And that leads me to the DM shared between Hubert Moltzka, SL's game director, and myself. Among other things, I asked Hubert the obvious questions. And no, their hand wasn't forced by any lawsuit to change the game, but they wanted to do it sooner rather than later. And they also wanted to be free of any remaining Containment Breach assets as well. But why this model? Well, that comes down to personal taste. I personally like the new remodel of 173. It looks incredibly detailed, and if you reread the 173 article without the original Untitled 2004 photo in mind, this is definitely something you could think up pretty easily without doing a lot of mental gymnastics. I know Northwood spent a lot of time with different variations of the new 173 until they settled on what we now know as Matthew. By the way, sorry, hashtag Walnut Gang, but hashtag Team Matthew is a superior brother, and mom and dad like us more. Stay mad. Obviously, Northwood wants nothing more than Secret Lab to succeed and do well. They put a lot of thought and effort into everything they've done. I know I had my reservations when I first saw Matthew, but when I played him, those reservations quickly vanished. And if you want to know more about how Matthew plays and want to leg up on the competition when the new update comes out, hey, check out my full guide on it. Other than that, drop a comment letting me know if this changed your mind on anything or if you learned anything new in this video, or what you think of it all. And with that, have a good one and take it easy.